Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's the Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work they love, and create actual amazing relationships. I'm George Campbell, joined by best-selling author Ken Coleman this hour, and we are taking your calls at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225.
You ready to go, George?
I hope so. You just finished up the Ken Coleman Show.
Yeah, I got a lot of juice right now, and I feel like you need to get your energy level up a tad.
Oh, boy. Okay. Thanks, Coach Ken.
No, I just a little bit more energy for these fine folks.
Thank you for that.
You're very, very calm because you're the quintessential professional.
Underneath, it's like the duck underwater. Right. You know, the legs are moving.
Well, you and I always have fun together with our callers, so I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right, Abby is kicking us off in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Abby, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Doing great. How can we help?
Yeah, so I recently got married about 2 months ago now.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. My husband and I are both graduating from college this spring. No debt or anything. We have about $7,000 saved up. And we're looking to do a 15-month missionary program. And we're just wondering if maybe we should put it off a year and get full-time jobs and work a year and then have to leave them, or if we just do the program right away and then get full-time jobs afterwards. I am also in the military, so that would cover all of our expenses, like insurance and that stuff. But at the program, it's free room and food and that kind of thing, so there's not many expenses.
Okay, I'm just curious. You're in the military full-time or in the Guard? I mean, and how are you going to be able to take off for missions work?
Yeah, I'm in the Navy Reserve, so it's just 1 weekend a month and then 2 weeks in the summer I would have my training. And
you'd be able to pay your bills. You don't have. I know you have no debt, but you got plenty of money, all expenses covered while you're doing this mission work?
Correct, yes.
And how long is it?
You also get a stipend. 15 months, so it'd be this May to August of 2024.
Yeah. Well, if I'm you, I would not do the route of step into a real career move, like I'm now on the ladder that I want to be on, and do that for a year and then all of a sudden take 15 months off. I'm not saying that's wrong. I don't think this is a right or wrong, because you can always come back to that work too. So I want to give the other side of it. This is just my personal opinion. If I'm you, I go ahead and do it now. I think it's a great adventure. I think it's going to change your life in a positive way. And financially, you're able to do it. I would do it now and knock that out and really be able to soak in that and have that experience. And then when you're done with that, you've got the timeline and you can plan for entering into the workforce after that mission. That's how I would do it. But I'm also quick to say, George, I don't think there's a right or a wrong here, especially because they've got financial piece to be able to do this.
Yeah, you have the foundation financially. So the decision for me, have you got this approved with the reserves?
Yes.
They're cool with you being gone for 15 months?
Correct. It's still stateside. It's in Colorado, so I would still
And there's no funding needed for this mission work? It's just automatically covered?
Yes.
Okay. And the stipend will just cover your bare bones expenses?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Plus her pay from the Guard, correct?
Yes. So the Guard will pay for all of our the expenses that we need, and then the stipend we just put in savings or like travel and that sort of thing.
I mean, this is a very rare scenario where
there's no risk here.
The boxes are checked for me, and if this is something you're very passionate about, then I'd go for it. Yeah. I'd also have a plan of what you want to do when you're back, because it's going to be a weird world coming back after 15 months of mission work into the workforce.
Right.
Do you
so
both know
there's a certain amount we have to have saved up? Okay, we're good, then we can head out there.
Well, it just depends on your expenses. And so if you guys can basically live on nothing and you don't have any major expenses you need to cover outside of your stipend and what the reserves are giving you, then you're in good shape.
Do you both know the path that you want to pursue professionally?
Yes.
So what are you studying?
Yeah.
I'm studying geology, and my husband is studying software engineering.
So he's going to come back and be a developer, work in the tech space?
Yes.
And what will you be doing?
I would like to work with the DNR, probably in environmental science, studying water resources.
Cool. That sounds pretty specific to me.
Yeah. So because you're stateside, because you've got all your expenses covered, I would be thinking almost from day one, what does the path look like? What do we need to do above and beyond our existing educational qualifications? What relationship building, connections, interviewing, start interviewing? I would say a good 8 to 10 months out ahead of time and telling them what you're doing and finding out what the market looks like. I just wouldn't wait, until cold turkey, the 15-month mission thing is up and now all of a sudden we're going to try to re-enter. Even though financially you could do that, I just, I want to see you planning while you're serving. I think that's my challenge to you. But this is great. And I must say, I don't want to skip over the fact that this is the best of us. Abby and her husband. I mean, this is what makes the world a better place. A young couple like this who are saying, you know what? Our professional future is in front of us, but we want to go serve people, and we have the financial freedom to be able to do it. I just think it's going to make a huge difference in their lives going forward.
Absolutely. And it's one of the reasons the Baby Steps works for everyone. And if you want that kind of freedom because you are passionate about a certain organization or a certain field, and you're going, man, if I could just get there. Well, having no payments really frees you up to have those kinds of options.
Yeah.
And so I encourage everyone, regardless of what your goals are, to live debt-free, to have an emergency fund. Because when this opportunity does come up, it becomes a no-brainer. And you go, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. We can take it because we don't owe lenders money. So we can go do this thing over here for no pay, for very little pay, because we're passionate about it without worrying about the bills.
Yeah. I love this idea so much. And of course, they're doing this on their own from a volunteer and a ministry standpoint. But, I'd love to abolish the student loan program, the federal student loan program. And what I would love to do is to take the taxpayer dollars or the money that the federal government has made all the years through student loans, and it would be fun to fund a year of service project of just a kind of we're going to pay for your expenses. You don't have to worry about a thing. We're not paying you a salary, but food, board, all that. We're going to take care of it for every young person before they ever enter into the professional world. They got to serve their fellow countrymen for 12 months. I just think that's a worthy endeavor.
That could change society right there.
I really do think
quite the vision.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Well, way to go, Abby. We're proud of you. Thank you for your service. More of your calls coming up. 888-825-5225. You jump in. We'll talk about your life, your money, your work, your purpose, and help you get that breakthrough. This is The Ramsey Show.
Look, I love real estate, and I want you to have a house, but I don't want a house to have you. That's why you need to get in touch with Churchill Mortgage to make sure you do this right. These guys are awesome. They'll help you get on a smarter mortgage plan because they're committed to doing what's right for you. That means they check in every year with free consultations to help you stay on the right plan. They show you how to save money and interest so you can build wealth faster. They walk you through the total cost of your loan so you can make the best choice. Basically, they care. That's why we call them Ramsey Trusted. You can achieve debt-free home ownership, and Churchill is here to help. Go to their site, churchillmortgage.com/Ramsey, to start your approval or get more information.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, Ramsey personality and co-host of Smart Money Happy Hour, joined by the host of The Ken Coleman Show. You guessed it, Ken Coleman himself. Next to me.
What does a guy got to do to have a chance to imbibe with you and Rachel?
That
on
is
the Smart Money
it's
Happy
coveted
Hour?
territory. And here's the truth. We had John Deloney on for a quick segment, and never again have we had a guest. So that
he
tells
ruined
you
it?
He ruined it for everyone.
Yeah, well, that's great.
He took over, It's my show. Can't have that.
Okay, all right.
But maybe one day, Ken. Dream big.
Maybe I can just sit there in the studio and drink off camera.
Shoot for the moon, and you'll land amongst the
I
stars.
kid. I don't do that. I'm just going to have a glass of milk.
I love that. A full
Glass of milk.
Are you a whole milk guy?
No, 2%.
Okay.
But in my
So you
coffee,
keep your physique.
skim. Yeah.
Wow.
I try to be healthy.
I've switched to oat milk, if anyone's wondering.
Nobody was, and then they're not surprised, though. Oat milk?
Yep.
That's not milk.
It's fair. It's just water plus oats.
Again, water and oats doesn't make milk.
No one is listening to the show anymore, Ken. They've all tuned out.
No, I think it's actually now people are weighing in. They're like, yeah, I agree with Ken. That's not milk.
That's fair.
This is what people want to do. They want to argue,
Well, hey,
George.
if you want to call in and talk about milk, we're here for it, but we'd rather help you, with life
How about help
transformation.
you make more money? I'm
There we
here
go.
today to help you make more money. That's like my role. How do you make more
The phones are going to be ringing
income?
like a telethon at this point, Ken.
Well,
You're
because
promising
you know
big
what
things.
Dave has said for decades, your income is the greatest wealth building tool you have, and I'm here to help you make more income. All right? So let's take those calls. You want to make more money? I'm your Huckleberry.
Let's do it. And it helps with the baby steps as well. It propels you
It helps.
through the baby steps. if
Let's
you can
go.
increase that income.
More money, baby. I'm your guy. Let's go.
All right, let's go to the phones. Devin is up next in Fort Worth, Texas. Devin, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Hey, how y'all doing? Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, good. I was having a little bit of issue, so I just kind of stayed put. I was like, not
Good.
wanting to move. So
Those are just the voices in your head. Don't worry about it. Press through those.
Exactly. Yeah, telling me to make more money so I can buy milk.
Come on, man. There we go.
So what's your question?
So I didn't realize actually Ken Coleman was on the show today. So I actually thought I had a two-part. One's kind of a silly question, and the other one's a little bit more deep. But the first one I wanted to kind of run by was in regard. I know the whole Ramsey financial piece and everything like that. I know it's all about no credit card at all. But I've never heard this addressed, and so I was just kind of curious on what y'all's opinion on it. So I have one card that I ended up paying off. It's gone, done. But I didn't realize in the process of paying it off that I had a minimum auto pay draft on it, and it put a negative balance on the card. And it's not a huge thing because it's not a whole lot of money, but I'm just kind of curious to know, is there any benefit at all to that? Like, as far as, I guess, like, maybe, I know the rewards points thing isn't a huge deal, but
Why don't you tell us, what's the number? What's the negative amount on your credit card?
$35.
So you had a zero balance, and then it auto paid $35, and so now they technically owe you $35.
Right. Yeah. It was a $62 and some change balance left. I made the payment, got it done, but I guess in the process of doing that somehow, it was still stuck on the auto pay because I was wanting to ensure that I wouldn't at least miss a minimum payment, and it put a negative balance on that because I guess it ended up processing that within the time span of that taking it off.
Yeah,
And so
I've
I
never
was
heard of
kinda
this,
curious.
and I can't think of any benefit you would get from I don't think this is like a life hack that you crack some code with the credit card companies.
Right.
And I don't know how it would affect your credit score, having the negative balance where they owe you. It doesn't make sense. I would just contact the company and say, hey, listen, there was an auto pay. I have a negative balance. Can you reinstate it and credit me back that money back to zero?
Yeah.
And then I'd close the account.
Right. Either that or I guess just transfer it back to my checking account.
Yeah, just transfer it back to where you owe them nothing. They owe you nothing.
Yeah,
and then just close
exactly.
it. It's not doing you any
Okay.
favors at this point.
Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. I was just kind of curious. No, I don't think I've ever heard of that question. That's why I was curious to ask. Really, the other thing I kind of wanted to get an opinion on, though, mainly is, I got to be honest. I'm 30 years old. I've got a family, and I have never felt like I've had a direction as far as a career goes with my life. I've done like a lot of different things, and at this point, I guess I'm just wanting to know what kind of mindset, like what kind of things should I be thinking about, like, as far as, like, and to be honest, I don't have any, like, formal education or anything. I just have always known that no matter what I do, no matter what that is, I just want to make sure that I always take care of my family.
Yeah, well, you're going to do that. You're going to do that. So here's high level. Here's the high level answer, and then I'll ask you to shoot some ideas at me. The high level answer to how can I figure out what my professional direction, what that is in my life is very simple. You got to figure out what you do well. These are your talents, and then you got to figure out what work you actually enjoy doing, and then you got to figure out what results motivate you. Those three areas allow for someone to get self-aware. And then when I get self-aware as it relates to, well, I'm good at doing these types of things. I enjoy doing this type of work. And these results get me excited. When I think about them, I'm going to get out of the bed. You don't have to motivate me. I'm motivated to produce these type of results. What that does is that begins to spit out ideas. And what it does is all that clarity makes me confident. When the ideas pop up, I go, oh, this makes a lot of sense. So I want to put you to the test really quick. Okay. What have you wondered about? I think you've probably spent more time wondering about a certain direction than maybe certain other ideas. There's probably one or two ideas that have always popped up for you, and maybe because of fear or doubt or pride, you just haven't done anything with them. So why don't you just tell me, what is something that you wonder about on a regular basis, but you just haven't ever pursued it?
Helping people.
Okay. Well, we're that's pretty high level. Who do we want to help? What people do you wonder or think about helping? Describe those people, maybe their problem or their desire.
I guess in a sense, I guess, man, I guess I'm trying to break it down between, like, what they would need help with. I guess that's the part that I've never thought about exactly what it is that I would want to exactly help them with.
All right, let me put it this way. You're overthinking, and I need you to stop thinking.
Okay.
You need to feel this answer. All right? Don't try to explain it to me. If I gave you a great chunk of money for 30 days, more than you're making now, and I said, all you've got to do, Devin, is just find a way to help people for 30 days of work. Who would you go start help? How would you help? Forget the who. What would you be doing? You get to choose your choice. You just say, Ken, I would be doing this. I'd be helping this way. How would I help these people? What's the answer?
I guess I would help them to achieve what it is that, man, I guess I would help them achieve what it is that they want to accomplish as far as their goals go.
Great. Now,
I guess is where maybe I think about that.
Yeah, but here's what happened. The entire audience heard you think your way through that sentence. You started, and I'm telling you what was going on behind the scenes in your head is there are certain people that you find yourself going, I'd love to help this kind of person. Now, you're real high level right now, which is I want to help people achieve what they want. Well, do you want them to help them achieve it in the area of physical, nutrition, exercise? Do you want to help them financially? Do you want to help them professionally? Do you want to help them spiritually? Do you want to help them relationally? You don't have to answer that right now. I'm not going to put you on the spot anymore, but hang on the line. I'm going to give you two tools. I'm going to give you my Get Clear Career Assessment, which will allow you to answer those questions easier because we ask them of you. You're going to get a detailed report on what you do best, what you love to do, and what motivates you, and then some really good ideas. And I'm going to give you the book From Paycheck to Purpose, which is the guide to climb the mountain after the assessment tells you what mountain you want to climb. Hang on the line. We'll get that to you. Thanks for the call, Devin.
Appreciate it, Devin. This is The Ramsey Show.
If you're like most people, your home is your most valuable asset. And when you want to make improvements, it can feel like everything costs too much or takes too long. But something as simple as custom window coverings from Blinds.com can completely change your space and add value to your home. We've recommended Blinds.com for over a decade, so you know you can trust them. From blinds, drapes, and shutters to motorized shades, they make it easy and affordable to upgrade your entire home, and their team is ready to help with everything from design consultation to measuring and installation. Plus, there are never any misleading quotes or hidden fees. Everything's backed by their 100% satisfaction guarantee, and shipping is always free. See why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Visit Blinds.com to save up to 40% off everything site-wide. Go to Blinds.com for more information.
This is the Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined by Ken Coleman this hour. The number to call is 888-825-5225. If you need a breakthrough, you need a second opinion, a third opinion on your money, your work, your purpose, we are here for you this hour. Aiden joins us up next in Atlanta. Aiden, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I've been so eager to get some kind of professional advice from someone.
We'll give you the best we got.
Well, let me tell you, you have arrived at the right
Ken
place.
is a consummate professional.
Today. I don't know. I mean, we're pros, aren't we, George?
That's self-proclaimed.
What's going on, Aiden?
So just real quick, I'm 19 years old. I work for the fire department of my city, and they lowered the age limit, so I was able to be very fortunate, be very blessed to get in a career so young right out of high school.
That's great.
I saved up quite a good bit before I moved out of my mother's house, and I, saved and saved, but I still ended up making, the young, foolish mistake of getting a place and getting a car. Because in my head at the time, I was, thinking, well, I want to stay ahead of my age group. I want to stay ahead of my peers, so why not get a place with a mortgage, and why not get a car that I've always wanted? And so I've accrued about $150,000 in debt. I've been able to maintain responsibility and continue to make payments on it. But I still really want, my biggest life goal is to have a legacy and create generational wealth, and really just continue to stay ahead. I was just wondering what your thoughts and opinions on what I should do next is.
What's the 150 in debt? Break that down.
So 125 is for this townhouse that I'm staying in.
So that's your mortgage?
The mortgage, it's, I believe, $10.50 a month.
Okay, and what's the other 25?
The other, so it's 150. The other part of it is the car note. And the car that I got was, I believe, around $30K, and I'm making payments on that as well. And it's about $500-600 every month.
What's your income?
Basically, I'm sorry.
What's your income?
I would say around 49,000 gross.
Okay. And here's what you told me. You said you want to create generational wealth, but your goals and your actions have so far been misaligned. And so I need to know, which one do you actually want?
I know I can't have my cake and eat it too, but I definitely want.
Well, you said you want to get ahead of your peers. That's different than generational wealth. Getting ahead with your peers means looking good, which we've succeeded at so far. Generational wealth means we're going to get out of debt and have an inheritance to leave to our children's children. That's what that means to me. And so comparatively to your income, this is a lot of car for a 19-year-old.
Yes.
I mean, my car is not worth this, and I'm a net worth millionaire. And I'm going, oof, for a 19-year-old to step into that, that's a lot of car. So what is the car worth today?
I As far as reselling it, it's been there's been a shortage on the make and model that I got, and that's why I wanted it, because I knew it was going to go pretty fast. And
Which means you could sell it for a pretty penny.
Right. They're worth a little bit more.
So how much could you sell it for, top dollar today?
Probably 38.
Okay, and you owe how much left on the loan?
30. I think it's like 30 and some change.
Okay, so it would leave you with $8,000, which you could pay for a used car. It's going to be a whole lot dinkier than the one you're driving now. But that puts you a whole lot closer to becoming a net worth millionaire and having generational wealth. That just leaves you with the mortgage, right?
Yes, sir.
And then making $50K, and you're 19, it's going to continue to go up. How quickly could you pay off the mortgage and begin investing for the future?
Pretty soon. I plan on picking up extra work for another ambulance company.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I wanted to hear. I mean, at your age, you want to get ahead. George is right. You're working more hours, man. And in your world, firefighter, EMT, all that, you can get a lot of overtime, presumably, correct?
Yes, they do a lot of different bonuses and different pop-ups here and there for games and stuff like that, and transporting patients long distances.
Fantastic.
And I know I'm very happy and fortunate to be in this field, because I know I have pretty well security in that field.
Well, yeah, you're going to get a great retirement situation there, but then you're going to follow the baby steps. And once you pay this condo off or townhome or whatever, my friend, that is you getting way ahead of your peers in that you have a cash property that you own, and you're investing 15%, and you got your fireman benefits, and you got overtime possibilities, and you have promotional opportunities. I mean, it stands to believe you could move pretty high up in the fire department by just the simple fact that you started so young. So you've got a great future ahead of you, but you got to really listen to what George said. I mean, he really challenged you on the mindset side of this, which is what it takes to win with money. Perspective changes my belief, and belief changes my actions. So George is challenging you with a proper financial perspective, and then you begin to see, oh, I believe that he's right. I believe that this is what I should do. And then before you know it, you're living differently, acting differently, and that's the result.
Amen. So Aiden, do you have any savings?
I do have 1,000 put away.
Okay.
I know that being so close paycheck to paycheck has already created me like a good bit of anxiety, which is why I want to get more work, because I don't like the feeling of being in this, predicament. And, just watching the content on YouTube that's available, and like just hovering over as we speak, like the whole Financial Peace University, because my mom did it and she's almost done with her mortgage, and
it's awesome.
Just of that nature.
Hey, can I give you an instant ladder to a pay raise? Can I do that for you? Sell the car today. Sell the car today. Go get yourself an $8,000 car, and go get you a roommate. So now all of a sudden, if we get a roommate, and let's just say we split the mortgage because you've got a roommate renting with you, and
you charge $600?
Yeah, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So now you freed up a $600 car
plus
payment.
The car payment. So now you just got a $1,200 raise.
Right.
That's before overtime, my friend.
And now we can start building that 3 to 6 months emergency fund. Then we can begin investing 15%. Whatever's left, we start
don't
attacking
forget the
mortgage.
margin. There's no anxiety.
Dude, I feel more free just talking about this with you, Aiden. And so the question is, and this is a hard thing, I'm not saying it's easy, but you've got to put the blinders on and go, I don't really care what my friends think about what I drive, because they're going to see you driving that other car and go, dude, what happened? This ride stinks. You had such a cool car. And you went, I'm trying to create generational wealth. And if they don't get that, that's fine.
Yeah. And I'm glad you bring that up, George. Aiden, can I give you another little mini pep talk? George, you know the numbers on student loan, the average student loan. You probably know this. I want you to add to it.
Yep.
But I know that the average college student is spending almost 6 years in trying to attain that degree. So I just want to give you a little perspective that here you are working right now, and many of your friends have got another 5 years before they ever exit college, and then they got the student loan hanging around. What's the average? You have an idea?
We're up to what, $38,000, I think is the average amount of student loans.
So 6 years to get out of school, and then you walk away on average with about $40,000 in debt. And Aiden, that's not you. So if you start feeling like, oh, I'm worried about what everybody's going to say about me, I'd run that reality through your head one time.
And as you get older,
Right.
you automatically start caring less and less about what other people think.
Oh, it's so
But
true.
if you do that at 19, dude, you're going to be light years ahead. And that is the best encouragement I can give you, because I remember being your age, and I was a knucklehead, man. I was spending every dime I was making from my jobs. I was buying gear, trying to impress people. And then I realized no one actually cares. They're all so focused on themselves and their own insecurity, and they're doing exactly what you're doing. And when you realize we're all just running our own race as insecure human beings, just do what's right for you.
Yeah. And remember, 20 years from now, Aiden, you're probably going to walk out in your backyard. Your neighbor will see you in a robe and tube socks and flip-flops. Because you just don't care.
We're all going to be lame dads one day. Just lean into it, my friend. Hey, we're going to gift you 1 year of Financial Peace University so you can be like mom, maybe go through it with her. It'll be a good time. So hang on the line. We're going to gift you Financial Peace University. Watch all the lessons, do the budget, and you'll be on your path to being a millionaire, my friend. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. If you're a new listener to the show and you want a deeper dive into all the things that we talk about, especially the Ramsey baby steps, our team has made a really easy tool for you. Just go to RamseySolutions.com, click on Get Started, and we will help you figure out the next best step for your financial journey. The button's right there as soon as you hit the website, RamseySolutions.com, click on Get Started. And if you're planning on moving anytime soon, that's fantastic. I'm excited for you, but let's be real. In most places around the country, you'll still be facing high home prices, and interest rates aren't exactly returning to those record lows. But here's the good news. It doesn't make home ownership impossible. If you want to buy or sell, you've got to make sure you're financially ready. And you've got to have a trusted and experienced real estate agent to walk you through this. Not a family friend who just got their license last month, not someone who does real estate as a part-time hobby. You need to work with a pro who's a true expert in the local market, knows how to negotiate strong deals. So you can find those people, these high-caliber Ramsey trusted agents, through our endorsed local provider program. And since we vet the agents from around the country, you're going to have the best support, whether you're moving from Florida to Alaska or buying your first home somewhere in between. Just go to RamseySolutions.com/agent to find a Ramsey trusted real estate agent today. That's RamseySolutions.com/agent.
Are you settled in your new home?
We're very settled.
Yeah.
I could not be more settled.
Yeah, and you used a Ramsey trusted pro there.
Yeah.
And got the right house in a neighborhood close by, so you're loving life.
And it's so important because they understand, they run the comps, they know everything about the neighborhoods, they know how to market it, they know how to stage it. I mean, they are true marketing experts.
Yeah.
And so to do this on your own, I've seen people do the for sale by owner, where they've got the sign in the yard, and they want to save on the realtor fees. So they go, I'm going to do this myself.
Right.
Someone will drive by and give me top dollar, and their photos look like their toddler took it on like a Nikon Cool Pics. And I'm going, what are you doing? I can see the litter box in the photo.
Yes. See, you're right. What are you and Whitney doing tonight? You want Stacy and I to come over, see the new house?
You know, we'll think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see what the plans are. I got no control over the plans. As you know, Ken, Stacy runs the calendar in your house.
You might as well be a professional bullfighter the way you evaded that question. That was good, George.
We do love the Colemans. We have had many a personal interaction.
Yeah.
Going out to dinner.
It sounds so warm.
So warm.
George and I are tight. We've had many a personal interaction. You sit right next to me.
Well, we're colleagues, Ken. You remind me of that every day.
It's a good word.
But me and Ken actually sit next to each other, like in our cubes, and we have a great time.
Truth be known, to paint the full picture, I sit between you and John Deloney, so I would appreciate your prayers, thoughts and prayers. Send them my way.
Some people call that a double blessing. Some people call it a nightmare.
Double dose of meds. That's what I need. All right.
Let's get to the phones. And if you've got a question, you can jump in at 888-825-5225. Lori, I believe, is in Toledo. Did I pronounce that right, Lori?
That is correct. It is Lori.
Good. How can we help today?
All right. Thank you for taking my call, George and Ken. All right. So just a quick backstory. I previously worked 10 years for a private urology office. We were going through a merger with a local hospital. During that merger, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I chose not to go back when I was off for my double mastectomy. There were several reasons for deciding not to go back. And during that time, which was 2.5 years ago, I took a job working from home for a large health insurance company. Since then, I have doubled my income as well as I have moved up within the company. The position I have now, I've been doing very well in. However, I'm currently on short-term disability. I've been off for 5 weeks and have another week off. I had one of my previous coworkers from my other department that I came from, that I had just moved up from, reach out to me last night and stating that there was some layoffs that were going on, and several people within that department was laid off. So my concern is, at this point, I don't know if this is a mass layoff within the company, or if it's just specific departments that have been affected by this. And the company, of course, is one big umbrella, so it's really hard to determine. I did reach out to my supervisor by text this morning just to say, hey, just to let you know, I'll be back on the 13th. But she hasn't even responded to that. So I guess I'm at that point. Do I ride this out? I don't really want to give up the working from home at this time, or as well as the pay, because I've doubled my income by working for this company. So I'm not sure if I should ride this out or if I should kind of keep my eyes and ears open for something else.
What's your financial situation if they called today and laid you off? What's your reality? What would you have to do financially?
Financially, I know I would need to look for another position or to go, somewhere else. I can tell you that between my husband and I, we have more than doubled our incomes in the last 2 years. But, we were kind of, playing that whole credit card game that we were doing, and kind of got ourselves into some credit card debt. So
what's the current household income?
Well, what I want to do really quick, George, I want to focus on something. I want George to walk you through the financial part, but I just want you professionally. I want to answer that part really quickly.
Okay.
You need to be looking and connecting right now, but I would not leave unless. Okay. So I would ride it out, but riding it out does not mean just, I'm just going to do my thing and just wait to see what happens. No, I'm going to start connecting and looking at the same time. I'm looking, I'm connecting. And the more I look, the more I realize I need to connect. And what you're going to do is you're going to put some feelers out. And it's a very simple message. You don't have to worry about how it comes across, because you're going to say, basically, look, there's been some layoffs and I'm just kind of seeing what's out there. Not a guarantee that I'm going to get laid off. So I would be doing that now, okay? But don't leave unless in the looking and the connecting, something better comes along, then it's a no-brainer, okay? But you are looking and connecting, and then George will tell you what you're doing while you're still collecting that paycheck to give yourself more margin.
So while you're doing homework on the career side, I want you to start looking at your financial numbers. So what is the household income today?
Our income is about $120,000 a year.
And how much debt do you have?
Excluding the house, it's over $100,000.
Okay, what kind of debt is $100,000?
It is credit card debt, one vehicle, and credit cards.
So more credit cards?
Of course. Yeah, there's quite a few credit cards, and then of course student loan debt.
Okay. Well, how about this? Live your life like you're going to get laid off tomorrow, and let that drive how you look at your finances. Because right now you've been living La Vida Loca, and now we've got to go to fire mode and go, oh my gosh, there's a storm coming. We need to get rid of as much debt as possible.
Yeah.
We are shoveling the water out of this boat so it doesn't sink. And so that would be my plan of attack. And if you want to save up a bunch of money right now for the next month until you know more, that's okay if you need to weather a storm.
Okay.
Did you just say you have it? Did I hear you say that? What did you say?
I'm sorry. What was that?
As George was talking, you said we have, and I wanted to know what you were saying.
Well, we actually have been. We have the plan in place as far as paying off all of our debt. Of course, we have it listed from smallest to largest. And when you were talking about doing that whole connecting thing, I actually am. So I do volunteer work. And the gal that I do the volunteer work with, as well as she was ahead of the HR in the old hospital that I just came from, she said, hey, this position's open and was open with the new company that I work for now, which happens to be 5 minutes down the road. And she said, I just wanted to let you know in case you're interested. So I did apply for that position. I did send my resume last night. So it would be staffing for assisted living place facility here in our rural Northwest Ohio town where we live. So I am already kind of on that lookout, keeping my eyes and ears open. But living in very rural Northwest Ohio, we are very limited options. So that's why I said I've doubled my income going to this company because the pay around here just isn't.
Well, let me say this.
I want to drive an hour to the city.
And let me encourage you on something. One of the things you may need to look at is what does the freelance market look like? A lot of freelancing work that's done remotely because of the freelance nature. I'd be looking at that to supplement the income. A little bit of overtime, George, through some freelancing is somewhere I would start digging.
Absolutely. Hey, that puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. Appreciate my co-host Ken Coleman, all the guys in the booth, and you, America. Thanks so much for listening. We're going to be back before you know it.
Hey, it's Ken. If you love the show and want a deeper dive on your money journey, we have a weekly newsletter that gives you trending and helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for our newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pod's Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm Ramsey personality George Camel, joined by my colleague Ken Coleman this hour, and the number to call is 888-825-5225. We're here to help you, to take your calls, to help you with that next step in your financial journey, your journey through work and career and purpose, you name it. Let's get to the phone lines. Maggie joins us up first in Chicago. Maggie, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're doing great. How can we help?
So we are about 45 minutes west of Chicago. So we're in the suburbs, and it's really nice here. I've lived here my whole life, but Illinois is not really going in the direction that we want it to. So we are thinking that potentially after our kids go off to college, we would be moving out of state. My older son is 14, my younger one is 9. So about 9 more years until the last one leaves. We have 8 more years about to pay off the house with what we've been doing now. And so I'm just kind of wondering if that would still be a good idea to continue to pay off the house if we kind of see an end in sight where we might be moving. And if there's something we should do with that money instead.
Well, if I'm in your shoes and that's how we answer calls on this show, I am putting that all towards the house. And my goal would be to have that thing paid off before we move. Because what it really becomes is a forced savings plan.
Okay.
And if we do other things with that money, it kind of gets a little squishy and it could disappear. We could invest it and lose some of that. And so I love having this goal of, man, what if we could be kind of empty nesters with no mortgage payment? And then if we want to move, what if we could pay cash for that next house? Because we don't have a mortgage. So all of that equity isn't disappearing. It's staying in your house when you go to sell it.
And I want to ask a question on this. Are you staying because you don't want to uproot the kids? Because you clearly don't want to be in Illinois. I thought you really suppressed your real feelings pretty well. And don't want to put you on the spot.
It's almost a decade of staying there.
No, you know, we love our town. I grew up here. My husband was from not too far away. My parents live here. We love it. But we started seeing, I don't want to say that's a lot of crime. But we're starting to see some like car thefts and stuff from the city or from Rockford.
Right.
These kind of groups of people will come out, release people into neighborhoods, get what they can, and then go back. So, again, in no way are we in a bad town at all. It's actually, a pretty affluent town. But, the way that Illinois is dealing with crime and things, there's not really any penalties for things. So, just maybe jumping the gun a little bit on, what this is going to look like in 8 to 10 years. Maybe, my nightmares are not actually going to come true, but, just thinking long term, we didn't know if it would be better to kind of pile up that cash, not knowing if, we owe about $177 on the house now. It's probably worth just a little under $400.
Yeah.
So if it would be better to, if the market were to go down in that amount of time and it's not worth as much, if we would be better kind of piling up that cash and just having that.
I was just curious because I was going to challenge your thinking, but I think now hearing the way you're responding, I agree with George, and I want to make sure you heard what he said. When he said forced savings, he's absolutely spot on, because you just said, well, I was wondering if we just pile up the cash. Piling up the cash into your greatest asset, which is your home in a very good area outside of a major city, is not risky. That is piling up cash. So I agree with George. I would do that because it doesn't sound like to me that you're super convicted yet. It sounds to me like you're worried, and worried is what leads to some conviction down the line. But right now I would just say you're worried, and I think George's advice is spot on. That's not a risky move or a silly move in any way.
Are you guys at a place, Maggie, to throw extra on the house? Do you guys have any debt? Do you have an emergency fund?
Yeah, we don't have any debt. We were, in the last 2 years, we had refinanced, so we're at like 2.625 now interest rate.
Wow.
And we had, my dad was sick at the time last spring, so I was driving them back and forth to Mayo Clinic a lot. And on one of those times, my very old Honda Odyssey kind of gave up on me. So we ended up having to get a car a little bit sooner than we thought we were going to, so I could keep making those trips. And we decided to pay cash for it and then just pay ourselves back in, 6 to 8 months that followed. So now that we basically pay everything with my husband's income, and then I'm a building substitute teacher. So I don't really make anything, like maybe $18,000-$20,000 a year. So that's
how many hours a week are you doing? So, or how many hours a month are you subbing?
I work 5 days a week, so it's for the elementary school that my son's at. So I just go every day, and then I do whatever they need me to do. But I don't get sick days. I don't get days that like it's an institute day today. So
hey,
I'm off.
Can I encourage and challenge you? You can be making a good bit more money with your skill set and experience online with doing online teaching. That world has exploded. My wife's got a dear friend back in Atlanta area who is a full-time high school teacher, but makes really good money teaching Spanish in her particular skill set online for adults. I just think you ought to be looking at the world of online teaching and tutoring, because you're spending a lot of time 5 days a week for very little return. And the reason I'm challenging you on this is your particular skill set and experience. The world has changed dramatically, and I think you could make a good bit more.
I know, and I don't want to change with it. That's my problem.
Well, okay, and that's fine.
I was a high school English teacher, and I was like, where are all of our VCRs that I used to use?
Right.
We're kind of, I was home for 13 years, so I'm kind of like,
all right,
entering back into it. But no, I totally agree with what you're saying.
Here's my point. We pay off that house faster. We pay off the house faster if you dabble in that a little bit. But again, you got to make the call. I just wanted to challenge you because it speeds everything up. More income,
I was actually thinking about it for this summer, doing something like that, or at least tutoring for.
What is your household income with you bringing in the extra $20,000? What's the total household income now?
Probably like 120. I think my husband's right around 100. He's salary, but he can get some overtime, so he does that from time to time. And then, like I said, but we've kind of, since we got married, it's always we want to live on one income, and then whatever the extra is, either towards the house or vacation or whatever.
That's a great goal.
His income, he's fully funding the. Obviously the insurance and the 401k and all that.
Good.
And our sinking funds.
So you guys are investing 15%. Are you putting some money away for the kids' college?
Yeah, we'll end up with about $100,000 per kid.
Awesome.
Kind of what we're.
You guys are doing so great.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
That's fantastic.
And I would set a goal with your husband.
Kind of. Yeah, he's more on the page of my parents are divorced. My mom was on the side of pay off your house as soon as possible. She did. So when my stepdad, who we were taking back and forth, he actually passed away this fall. So, she's feeling like, it was good that they got the house paid off and all that. My dad, on the other side, is where he's like, you have a really low interest, and he kind of has my husband on that
I'm taking
side
mom's
where
wisdom on this one, Maggie. No one has called in the show saying, I regret paying off my house. I hate having all this extra money. What do I do? It's a great feeling psychologically, and it's going to set you guys up financially. So we're rooting for you on whatever's next. Thank you so much for the call. This is The Ramsey Show.
We've been doing business at Ramsey for more than 30 years. By now, we're a well-oiled machine, but it wasn't always that way. Yes, we've always had a vision, always had determination, and a drive to help people. But what we didn't have was one central place to access all our numbers so that we could get further ahead or quickly see when we needed to pivot. We were always jumping back and forth between different systems and spreadsheets. So when NetSuite by Oracle helped us wrangle our revenue, inventory, expenses, and more into one place, it was a game changer. And NetSuite's #1 cloud financial system can help your business gain the same visibility, because businesses thrive on timely data. And NetSuite's real-time analytics can help your business have immediate access to your numbers daily, so you always know where you stand and you can move quickly. So go to netsuite.com/Ramsey today and set up a free product tour. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined by Ken Coleman this hour. The number to call, 888-825-5225. All right, folks, a lot of you have questions about taxes, and we get it. Taxes are confusing. So to help you get a better handle on them, let's unpack a question from one of our listeners. Here's what they asked. I want to avoid overpaying taxes each month. What do I need to change with my paycheck? This is a great question because, Ken, you're all about helping people make more money, and this is one of the easiest life hacks to make more money. You've been given the government an interest-free loan. Let's stop that. And so here's what we do. We want to make that money work for you instead of Uncle Sam and waiting to get your money back in the form of a tax refund. So there's two simple ways to figure this out. Number one, if nothing has changed in your tax situation, take your refund amount or the amount you owed last year and divide it by 12. That's how much more or less you want taken out of your paycheck each month. So for round numbers, Ken, let's say you got a $1,200 refund. Well, that means you were overpaying by $100 every single month for an entire year. So if your tax situation has changed, you can use tax software to do a fake tax return to kind of crunch the numbers here, and that will show you if you're paying too much or too little, and you can do that quick paycheck math again to figure out that Goldilocks spot. And the next step is to then get with your HR team, with your employer, and fill out a new W-4. That is the form you want to change to make sure you're not over or underpaying on your taxes anymore. So if you want more tax tips and software that can help you file with confidence, go to RamseySolutions.com/smart tax. That's Ramsey Smart Tax. It'll guide you through our e-filing with low upfront pricing, no hidden fees like the other guys. Just go to RamseySolutions.com/smart tax. All right, let's go to the phones. Dan joins us up next in Fort Worth. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And just following on, I want to say I just used your tax software this year, first time, and it worked great.
Awesome.
And I used the premium, and I called, got right through, and got answers. So
that's awesome to hear.
Things.
We couldn't have asked for a better plug, so thank you for that, Dan.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, see, I just retired, and so I got several of those papers for transferring money out of my company IRA 401k. So they helped me through all of that.
Tell us about, real quick, tell us what you
exciting.
retired from. How long were you working in that field? Tell us the details there.
I've had one and only one job.
Wow.
And I worked in the, you want to know the company name? Or just
No, you don't have to. It's up to you. I was just curious.
I'm happy to say it. It's been a good company. But I worked in the, I'm a software engineer, and I worked for a company that builds aircraft for the government
Does it start with a B?
No. Nope.
How many years were you? How many years were you in the role?
37.
37 years. How long ago did you retire?
Last July.
All right. Are you enjoying it?
Yes, I am. Very much so.
How old are you?
I just turned 60 last month.
Oh, 60 years young, man.
I couldn't make it. That was my goal, to get to 60, and I couldn't do it. But
Well, 37 years is a heck of a career.
That is.
Well done.
Well done.
How can we help today?
They treated me very well, and I'm pretty set financially. But that gets to my question, which is, I'm so used to budgeting based on my income and using the Every Dollar app, and not used to spending savings. So this is a big mind shift for me. So I've got a pension of $5,200 a month. And then I just now started pulling from my savings. And so the question is am I pulling enough, not enough? We can live on what I'm pulling out, but this also gets into, how do you do still do a sinking fund, since it's now spending savings instead of income? And we've been so used.
When you say savings, Dan, are you talking about your nest egg, actually pulling from investment accounts, withdrawing?
Yes.
Okay, so not a general savings account. We're talking about, I'm utilizing my nest egg. Well, how much is in the nest egg?
Okay, the nest egg is $1.4 million.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how much are you pulling out?
We pulled out. We moved out of the taxable into the out of the tax free. Pulled out so that I would get $3,000 a month for this year. So basically, $2,000 a week, which we can easily live on and do. We've lowered our giving based on our income. And the only major up is our premiums for medical till we hit 65, and that's $1,600 a month. So it comes down to, when she asks, like, hey, I'd like to get a new refrigerator, I'm not used to saying we're going to have to wait a month or two, because we used to have a cash flow. And now that I get to decide my own cash flow, I don't know how to decide. And do I leave the big amount in the nest egg and only pull out, like, if I needed a new car, which I don't plan on, when that happens, or do I start taking out of what I'm pulling out monthly and let it build in this little sinking fund?
I think you take what you need at the time that you need it. And so you have your pension money that's coming in. That's $5,200, you said?
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah.
So that's great. So how much do you need on top of that to cover your monthly expenses? Because I assume and hope you guys are doing a monthly budget where you're saying, here's our expenses for the month, including the luxuries. You guys should be enjoying this money now.
And we are. It's more of, I need the permission do I pull more to travel more?
Yes.
Which I just got hit. It's like, the house insurance went up and I hadn't allocated enough, and I could, but I'm used to just being able, I had a lot of leeway in my budget every month.
So we're adjusting things now because we don't have the same situation we did pre-retirement. So we have to adjust to our new lifestyle and what it entails. But you can create a cash flow from these investments. And so the key is to look at these numbers and go, all right, I have $1.4 million. If I withdraw 3 or 4% a year, that should help that money stay at $1.4 million or more.
Yeah. Are you living? Here's what I'm not sure on. George asked you, and I don't think we got an answer. Does the $5,200 a month cover your living expenses?
It would not.
So how much more? How much more do you need? above and beyond that just to cover the four walls and bills.
Do you guys have a mortgage?
No.
Okay.
We're debt free.
So what is the $5,200 going towards at this point? Because it feels like that would be enough to cover bare bones expenses.
Well, out of the $5,200, $1,600 goes to medical insurance.
Okay.
Now, I have an HSA that we're using now to spend for the medical bills. We have a very generous food budget, which does eating out, groceries, and so that's $1,000 a month there. We have our giving. It's spread out. It's all in the budget.
I believe you. So on top of the $5,200, you're saying I need about $3,000 on top of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's about $8,000.
So you're taking out about $36,000 a year from your nest egg, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the question is should I be taking more for potentials so that I don't?
I think you're being conservative.
Or do I know, or what out of the nest egg is where I can just say we want to take a big trip and take it out and not do it like I do save every month for it.
Yeah, that's totally fine. If you want to take $10,000 out,
you've not touched.
It's exhausting. I'm exhausted listening to you think through it. Here's the deal.
Very simple.
You want to go on a big trip? George is saying.
Things. I'm an engineer.
I know, and we're trying to set you free. Set your budget up the way you want to do it with the extra $3,000 a month to go above and beyond the pension. And when you want to go on a big trip to Greece with Mama, pull it out of the retirement fund and pay for it. Don't save it every month. It's going to be fine.
What you need to do is work with a SmartVestor Pro and crunch the numbers, because right now it's all kind of a wish, and I think and I hope the SmartVestor Pro will show you how these numbers will run out and show you, okay, if you take 4% out a year, max, your money should last you till 100 and beyond. And that will free you to spend with no remorse and with intentionality, my friend. So go to RamseySolutions.com and connect with a SmartVestor Pro. You're doing great, man. Enjoy it.
Y'all, there's a lot you can't control when it comes to healthcare, but there is something you should check out that can help. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is not insurance. It is budget-friendly, biblically based health cost sharing. That means a community of members helping share the burden of each other's healthcare costs. They help people just like you in all 50 states. So see if CHM could be right for your family. Learn more today at chministries.org/budget.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined this hour by Ken Coleman. The number to call, 888-825-5225. Before we get to the phone lines, let's get to our question of the day, which comes from Joe in the official Ken Coleman community on Facebook. I always appreciate people dropping questions in there.
You love the official communities, don't you?
I don't like the unofficial ones, that's for sure. So here's what Joe wants to know from Ken. Ken, what are your thoughts on a career that has a schedule of 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, but requires you to be on call 24/7, 365?
Well, you better love it. I mean, you better really love it, because this description here says no boundaries. Now, that's just the way a lot of jobs are, and I get it. But if you don't love that work, and what I mean by that is really enjoy, let's call it 75% of your day. If you don't enjoy it, then what's going to happen is that becomes so wearing on you because you never feel like you can turn it off. But if it is a high level of enjoyment, as you know, I call that passion, and if it is, and you're producing results that motivate you, and you go, you know what, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm taking all of my vacation days. I'm going to have to make sure that I am truly recreating myself on my weekends. You're going to have to be very, very specific to take care of you. If not, you will burn out in a role like that because you have no boundaries. So you better love it. You better care deeply about the results, and you better take care of yourself. If you don't, it's not a good idea.
I agree. And I do wonder if this is a hypothetical. I don't know how many roles are truly 24/7, 365, even if you're a surgeon on call.
Well, actually,
you might be on call for 2 weeks at a time or something. Versus
fair, but you might be surprised, like if you're a plumber or you're even in a trades
emergency
job.
situations.
In emergency situations, I know a lot of HVAC guys that they're on call. And they could get a call, and depending on how the business wants to operate and how they want to serve their customers, yeah. And by the way, I love those dudes.
I've had one of those
that
guys.
show up at 8 o'clock on a July summer night in Nashville. Yeah.
I've had one show up at 2 a.m. after my roof was leaking from an ice dam.
Yeah, so that's the idea. It doesn't mean you're always on, but you are on call, and you just have to deal with that. And you know what? We were talking about this earlier. I'm always trying to help people win in their work life. And I was telling you that, I've realized that not everybody's going to get what I talk about because not everybody wants to put in the hustle. They just don't. And I think we have to understand this, that not everybody is wired for that kind of an on-call mentality. Some people can handle it fine. But other people are stressed out of their mind and anxious. So you got to know yourself, above and beyond the other classifications.
Is key. Yeah, that's a good reminder there. Thanks for the question, Joe. Appreciate all of you in the official Ken Coleman community. You can find that on Facebook if you want to jump into that conversation.
By the way, before we get back to the phones, if you want to make more money and you don't feel you're making enough, I'm your guy. I'm on call right now. Right now,
he's here.
And so
phone lines are open.
So many people feel like they just aren't making enough, and I'm telling you, we are sitting right now in a job economy.
Well, it's one of the biggest complaints, Ken. They're going, Ken, the wages have stagnated. How can anyone survive the prices of eggs?
Yeah.
And you're going, no, you can make more.
Well, wages have not stagnated, which is why everything costs more.
But saying the word stagnated makes us feel good.
Well, you like to say it because you like
it's
a good
$10 word.
Yeah. All right. Back to the phones we go.
All right. We're going to go to Kyle in New York City. Kyle, my friend, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help today?
So I have a question. So first of all, I'm 26 years old, and I just have a question on term life insurance. I don't know if I should do 10, 20, 30 years. Basically, I don't know if I should do a 30-year now just because I'm young, and obviously it's going to be a lot cheaper. But then I'm afraid I'd be hammered with a crazy price once I'm 56. Or if it's better to do a 10 now and then a 30 later on. So then it brings me to I'm 66.
It's a great question. So are you single?
No, I actually just got married.
Oh,
wonderful.
Congratulations.
That's exciting.
Thank you.
So we generally recommend anywhere from 10 to 20 years with term life insurance. And here's why. If you follow the Ramsey plan, and I'm talking all in, not ish, here's how this would play out. You would get a 15-year fixed rate mortgage eventually in the next few years, potentially, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Once you're debt-free with a fully funded emergency fund. And so think about that. If you guys have kids, let's say in the next 5 years, is that a reasonable assumption if you do want kids?
Yes, definitely.
And so 20 years from now, 25 years from now, the kids are out of the house, you have a paid-for house, and you've been investing for 25 years. 15% of your income, and then even beyond that once you have the house paid off. And so that would cause you to become what we call self-insured, where if something happened to you, God forbid, your wife's going to be okay. She's got $1 million in the bank. She's got very little expenses. She's going to be okay. So the point of term life insurance is not to have it until the day you die.
Right.
And so that's what I would do. Get 10 to 12 times your income. And as your income goes up, you can increase that. Some people get a new policy in place and cancel the old one. Sometimes it makes sense to increase the ones you got. Some people do a ladder strategy where they may, you've got the 15-year in place. You may, 10 years down the road, add another 15-year in place. And as long as you're healthy, those rates are going to be so affordable. You're going to be really grateful. Anytime I see that life insurance premium come through, which I pay mine annually to get a discount. You know me, I love a good deal.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of going, oh, man, I'm grateful that it was another year that I said I love you to my family through the form of term life.
Oh yeah, and this is before you even have kids. When kids enter the equation, I got to tell you, We have ours automated, but I always get paranoid every year. I always check with Stacey. I go, did it go through? Because I can't think of a more shameful act that I could do than to die without life insurance to take care of Stacey and the kids. It is the most financially responsible, unselfish thing that you can do. And so I love that this question is here, and it's a game changer. There's a lot of peace, man. It really does. I mean, different people deal with death differently, but I got to tell you, if you know that if something happens to you, that your family's not going to want for anything, that everything's going to be okay. It's the final act of sacrifice and devotion, and I think it's that serious. It really is.
Beautifully said. Kyle, does that answer your question?
It does. So you're basically able to cancel a life insurance policy whenever you want?
Yeah.
And then replace it with something else?
That's right.
Okay.
And I actually did that recently, and I found it made more sense just to go ahead and get a new policy. As your income goes up over the years, which it will, you want to make sure you're keeping up with that to make sure that you can cover, your lifestyle and your expenses. And make sure your spouse has one too.
Okay.
10 to 12 times their annual income.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you bet.
And let me call out that for the stay-at-home moms out there, they need term life insurance.
That's correct.
Because if something happens to that stay-at-home spouse, you've got to get Mary Poppins to cover all the thousands of duties that we're taking care of. And let me tell you, that gets expensive very, very quickly.
That's right. Yep.
And so stay-at-home parents, we recommend anywhere, we're talking $250,000 to $400,000 worth of term life insurance, and sometimes more depending on your situation, your cost of living. If you live in Manhattan, childcare is going to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
And so be thinking about that and make sure if anyone relies on your income, get term life insurance. Avoid whole life insurance like the plague. It's being peddled right now, Ken, on social media, on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. Everything's recycling.
It's like an investment scheme, and you can borrow from yourself, and you can become your own bank. Don't fall for those traps, please.
Yeah. So
get
stupid.
term life, get it in place, set it and forget it, like the great Ron Popeil. You remember those commercials?
Yeah, oh yeah,
The rotisserie chicken?
Oh yeah.
I always think about it for some reason.
I like that.
I'm an old man at heart, Ken.
You are. And by the way, it's also important to point out that term life rates are so incredibly low. You ought to be checking in with Xander Insurance. Some of you guys that got it maybe 10 years ago, maybe you're out of shape, your cholesterol level is a little high in your blood. Hey, it gives you a good excuse to lose about 10, 15 pounds and watch your rates drop. I'm not kidding you.
RamseySolutions.com, and you can click on Trusted Services,
Saving
Xander Insurance.
money while taking care of the family.
That's who me and Ken go through. We recommend it to everyone. They'll take care of you, give you the best rate shopping across all of the top-rated companies. They're not beholden to one company, and they are incredible, incredible people. So, great question. Love talking about term life for some reason, Ken. I'm a giant nerd. I'm a giant nerd. I don't know what to tell you.
You need a more exciting life.
I need help. This is The Ramsey Show. You're listening to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, Ramsey personality, joined by my friend Ken Coleman this hour. The number to call is 888-825-5225. Ken is here to help you get that breakthrough with your work, your purpose, your career, help you make more money. If you're feeling stuck, you're facing a layoff, whatever it is, he is your man, and I can help you with all those financial questions to get you on the path to wealth. We're going to take a call from Rebecca in Guilford, New Hampshire. Rebecca, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great. How can we help?
Great. Okay. So I'm ready to start the baby step number 4.
Woo!
But I'm iffy on if I contribute to my own Roth IRA, my employer's Roth IRA, or, here's the loop, start saving for my future husband's debt.
Wow.
And pay off.
Is this man in the picture already?
He is.
Okay,
yes,
good. I didn't know if it was a hypothetical.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
No.
It's like, be a little bit more positive, you know?
Okay.
Yes.
So are you engaged?
Yes.
Exciting.
Congratulations.
When's the wedding?
It'll be June 10th of 2024.
Wonderful. Okay. So you're at baby step 4, and until we're married, we're not going to combine finances. And so as long as you are investing 15% and also able to cash flow the wedding, that would be the plan of attack.
Okay.
So let's talk about, is the wedding going to be paid for by you two?
Yes.
Okay. And you're going to cash flow it? You've got the budget set? You know you're going to hit that number?
100%. Yes. Yeah, we're going to elope and kind of just do it like
That's
the
the
easy
way to
way.
do it. Budget friendly.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about baby step 4. We recommend investing 15% of your household income into retirement. So you're saying you have an employer 401k, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're saying, hey, should I do my own Roth IRA? Now, you mentioned an employer Roth IRA. I think you're talking about the 401k because the IRA is outside of your employer.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So here's a real simple investing strategy, and it's the one that Dave uses and our whole team uses, the one that we recommend to millions of people, and it's real simple. It goes match beats Roth beats traditional. So do you have an employer match?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Okay, what's the match?
I think I'm not exactly sure.
But it's a few percent. Is it just kind of a 3 or 4%, 5%?
Yeah. I was going to say like 3%. I wanted to say about that.
Let's pretend it's 3%. So the first 3% of the 15 we're going to put towards that match. Now, you said you have a Roth 401k option through your employer.
Yes.
And so Roth would come next. And if you have good investment options with that 401k, you could do all 15% into that 401k.
Okay.
And if you don't have good investment options, or if someone didn't have a Roth option for the 401k, it was traditional, you would go to the Roth IRA outside of your employer and put as much in as you can there. I think it's $6,500 for this year. And if you still haven't hit 15% of your income, you go back to the 401k.
Okay.
So it sounds like you could do all 15%. What's your household income?
So just mine, I make 55.
Okay. So if I'm in your shoes, Rebecca, and you've got good investment options, I'm just going to do all 15% into that Roth 401k, and that will get you the match, and that'll get you to your baby step 4 limit.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, way to go. Excited for the marriage. I love the idea of eloping, Ken. I think we need to get back to that.
I've said this many times before, speaking on behalf of all men, if your wife-to-be is in favor of this, jump on this opportunity because it's a lot of stress on women because it's a big day. And I will tell you, as a guy, you could, when the ceremony's over, you think to yourself, well, why do we go through 6 months or 10 months or 12 months of planning for what amounts to about a 20, 25-minute ceremony? And then the party, and then we leave on the honeymoon. So I think most guys would just rather do without the ceremony.
I had an idea. I'm going to run it by you. What do you think about we just treat weddings like a live event that you buy tickets to? So you want to attend the Ken and Stacy wedding.
You
buy a ticket.
Yeah.
And that just covers the wedding price, and we're good.
I think it's a horrible idea.
I
don't
really
think
hoping
anybody
you'd be for
does
this.
it. No one does that.
Well, it covers the cost of the wedding. Now we're not going, hey, Ken and Stacy have to front $50,000.
You presume it covers the cost of the wedding that people would pay to come see you get married.
Well, it takes the place of the gift.
I don't think it works that way. I think Americans have too much consumer guilt, and they would bring a blender, and then they got to buy a ticket. And what's the ticket price, by the way?
I don't know. It depends on the wedding. I'd pay $50. It includes a meal and a
You
drink.
would pay $50 to see me and Stacy get married?
You know how much it costs for a seat at a wedding? For a ceremony and reception?
I didn't ask you that. I asked you what you would pay to watch someone else get married.
Depends if I like them. Like our producer, James. I'd throw in $50 for James.
I promise you right now, James wouldn't pay to come to either one of our weddings.
It depends on if there's a live camel there.
I did have a live camel at my wedding, so there's a perk.
The only way James Childs, our fearless producer, pays to come to one of our weddings is if it includes a all-you-can-eat buffet. Then he's in. Outside of that, he's not paying.
And if he can bring his kids, too.
Or if you and Stacy wear matching plaid outfits.
Not that would ever happen.
Too soon.
That's an inside baseball
Very good inside joke. It was, by the way, it was not plaid, it was tartan. Let's get it straight.
You just made it worse somehow.
No, it's Christmas tartan.
All right.
Look it up.
Let's go to Sean. Sean, please save us. He's in Phoenix. How you doing?
Hey, good guys. How you doing?
Good. What's your question?
So the question is back in October, I purchased a vehicle, a Tesla, to save on gas because of my work truck. I was spending almost $1,400 a month in gas. Gas prices got pretty expensive here, so I was looking to save. So purchased that. I didn't have the money exactly then. I pulled money from my HELOC to make that purchase. November, December are normally our better months. I almost do about a third of my income just in those 2 months. Well, those months didn't pan out. There's been like a downturn going on, so I've had a drastic kind of cut in income. And question is now is like, should I sell stocks to pay it off? Because like I'm worried about interest rates going up still here again.
Because that HELOC's variable.
Yes.
Yeah, that's scary.
So like when I initially had it, it was like when I did it, I think it was at like 5% or so. Now it's like at 9%, and I'm anticipating them maybe raising rates again.
So what do you owe on the HELOC?
So 48. And
how much do you have in stocks?
I got like in one investment account around 47 there. In another, I got 30. So like I have enough to liquidate them there on those. Those are just my kind of individual investment accounts, not like IRAs or.
So we're not touching retirement. These are just taxable investment accounts, and you have single stocks in there.
Correct.
Do you have any other debt?
Those stocks are paying. So I own 3 houses. One's my primary residence, and then 2 are rentals. One of the rentals is paid off. The other one's not. That one I owe. So between, I guess, my personal residence, I owe $479 on, and then on the other rental, I owe $169.
Okay, no other consumer debt. Just the 2 mortgages. Okay, and what's your household income, barring your terrible months that you had?
See, normally I'd be running around like 360 to 390.
Awesome.
This last year closed out at like 240. So there's been like a drastic drop that I had. And like I said, I was just really banking on November, December. I'm like, oh, well, this is kind of make it or break it there. And I was really kind of making it and just didn't really pan out. So, but this was kind of my backup plan. And now
that's the thing. Our plan works in good times and bad. And this is one of those ones where it gets scary when you have volatile stocks sitting out there. And so if I'm in your shoes, I'm cashing out on all of the stocks. I'm clearing the HELOC, having a big pile of cash for my emergency fund, and starting to tackle those mortgages. And I know you said the stocks are making money, but they make money until they don't make money. And then you're down 20% in a market. But when you don't have any debt, it just changes the numbers and changes your decisions. So I'd cash out of that. Make sure you understand the tax implications on the gains, of course, and you pay those. But we're rooting for you to become debt-free, my man. Thanks for the call. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. My thanks to my co-host, Ken Coleman, all the folks in the booth keeping the show afloat, and you, America, thanks for listening. We'll be back real soon. Hey, George Camel here. If you love the show and you want a deeper dive on your money journey, we've got a weekly newsletter that gives you helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for the newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm George Camel, joined this hour by my good friend Ken Coleman, and we want you to jump in with your question. This is your show. We want to help you take the right next step in your life. The number to call is 888-825-5225. Zachariah kicks us off in Branson. Zachariah, welcome to The Ramsey Show.
Thank you guys for accepting my call.
Happy to accept. How can we help you today?
Definitely. So my question currently is, by the way, again, I am 18 years old. I graduated high school when I was 17, and I'm about to actually graduate in May to get my associates in business. as far as my question goes, I've inherited a house in May. I did, and it was my father's. I'm not sure if I should continue evolving my career in Branson or to go and pursue education to a higher degree, like at a university of some sort, and then sell the house. So my kind of question for you guys would be, should I continue to pursue education and kind of leave Branson, as there's not much here career-wise for me in sales or in business, or should I go ahead and stay here?
Well, I think that's depending on what it is you want to do long term. And you're a really bright young man who's already made some progress. It sounds like you see yourself long term outside of Branson. So that's one indicator. But before we decide on more education, and I'm super passionate about this, Zachariah, because the world has told you, and many other people for decades, that a degree is a guarantee for success. And that's a bunch of garbage, even more so now in 2023. And so I don't want to go for more education unless it is the only way to do what I want to do, or it's the best way. So it's a very simple decision process. Is it the only way to get where I want to go professionally, or is it the best way? And parents, this is for you too. There's this cultural pressure for you to send your kid to college because it's about status now. It's a status symbol. There's no guarantee for success. So the question for you is, young man, like, do you know what you want to do long term?
Yeah.
Which is what?
My school had a program. I spent like 3 years in it because I asked myself the same question.
Great.
So I've partnered up with a few local physician assistants, and I've shadowed them for the past 2 to 3 years. And I honestly think it's kind of a career for me. It is
great.
Looking at a master's degree, though.
Fantastic.
So,
okay, so that answers our question. All right. So is it the only way? The answer is yes. All right. So now we have to decide, do I need to go to a name brand school? And the answer to that is no. And so once I decide, okay, what are my options? What are the financial requirements for me to get through that program, that master's? And that's going to decide our timeline. We want you to save up the money to be able to cash flow your way through the master's program. Okay. You don't have to move outside of Branson necessarily to do that. You might want to, but let's just go to the best opportunity to get trained that doesn't cost as much money. Nobody cares. I've never, ever, ever, George, gone to the doctor, and before I was examined, I didn't say, could you tell me where you went to school and also what your GPA was? Nobody ever does that. So let's get over all this name brand crap and this pressure like, well, I went to this school. Nobody freaking cares. All right? So once we decide where we want to go to school, and then we figure out how much money it's going to take, then the rest of these decisions take care of themselves, right? So now if you stay in Branson in the house you inherited because you can go to school locally, fantastic, right? But if you need to move because of the schooling and you don't have the money saved up, then that's going to take us a little bit of time. I'm going to stay in my sales job. I'm going to save up the money. And then I'm going to make the move. So right. I think all of your big decisions have already been made. It's now just a selection. What mountain do I want to climb as it relates to the school? What's the best place for me to go? And then we make the decisions from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more so kind of the paralysis by analysis of looking at a huge kind of question or thing that you should do. Do you guys believe, like, if I went ahead and decided to go to college just like an hour away from here, and in that event did want to sell the home, as far as like taking that and investing that obviously in the market and, not even touching it, just letting it cash flow to me, do you guys think it would be better to kind of pursue that, or do you guys think it would just be
how much? What's the house worth?
The house right now is worth $282,000.
Okay, so let's call it maybe $250,000 is what you would net. How much do you have in the bank right now?
Currently, I have in the bank around $15,000.
Okay, and let's call that your emergency fund. Do you have any debt?
I do not.
So let's figure out what it's going to take to cash flow this master's degree, because we may need some of those funds. Let's say we do sell it. That could help you cash flow the master's.
Yep.
Do you know what that might cost you? It sounds like you have a school in mind.
Yeah, it's at MSU up here in Springfield. Total, I think, for undergraduate plus masters, they both cost the same, thankfully. So it's easy math. I think it was around 15 per year.
Okay.
So
Is that total
16 even?
Yeah. Is that total 6 years? 4 or 5 years? How many years?
No, that's just for 1 year.
No, I know, but how many years before you get through the master's? Is it a 4 year, or is your associate, you got some credits transferring? So how many years before you get out of the master's program and you can actually be a PA?
It would be 5.
All right.
Okay.
So there's your number.
So now we have real hard numbers. There's no longer a kind of, wishy-washy thing going on here. So $75,000 is what it's going to take.
Yep.
So if you sell this house, you net $250,000. I'm going to put that in a high-yield savings account. I would not invest it into the market because that $250,000 could turn into $200,000 depending on how things go and who tweeted what that day. So I'd rather have that money liquid cash. It'll grow at 3 or 4% with today's high-yield savings rates. And that will really float you through this in a beautiful way.
Yep.
And also, you're going to need to rent. Are you going to be able to work while you're in school?
Yeah, I have my C++ and my Python programmer certification. So that's what I do now.
What can't you do? Goodness gracious.
I got to tell you.
I suck at drawing, so I can
There
do
we go.
art.
That makes me feel better.
Everything else,
I love that he actually took the question seriously. He was like,
rhetorical.
I'm having a hard time thinking of something I can't do. No, listen, Zachariah, you're in great shape, my friend, and George's advice is right. You're going to have a lot of people try to give you some opposite advice to that, but you want that cash so that when you get done with the master's and you're ready to take that job and be a PA, now you've got a pretty sizable down payment. You got a lot of options, my friend.
Because we don't know where we're going to end up long term. So I don't want you to get, go buy a place not knowing what's next because someone told you it's a waste to rent. I don't think that at all. I think you're going to do so well at 18 to be this sharp. Just call us back when you're a millionaire, like 4 years from now. This kid's brilliant.
Yeah, love that.
Cheering you on, man. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. If you're listening to this show, I'm going to make a wild assumption that you enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, I'd like to remind you that it's free. And therefore, I have one ask of you, and that is to consider subscribing to the show wherever you're listening, leaving us a review wherever you're listening, and sharing it with a friend. Send them a link, tell them about it, send them to our site. We want to spread hope as much as we can this year. And if you've read the headlines, there's not a lot of it out there. And so we try to be a beacon of light in this world that's gone mad, apparently. So we appreciate all of our listeners out there. Keep spreading the word. We love you guys. Let's go to the phones. Rosalind joins us in Tyler, Texas. Rosalind, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hey, how are
Thank
you?
you for taking my call.
Sure.
Good. So I have a question about, I suppose, investing. I am wondering if it would be wise for me to put money into a CD account.
Okay, what's this money for?
This would be more for saving retirement, just for future purposes.
Okay. What are your current financial goals? Kind of give us a picture of where you're at. Do you have any debt? Do you have money in the bank?
Currently, I have about $20,000 in my bank account, and I have no debt. I'm a university student going on scholarship.
Wonderful. Full ride?
Yes, sir.
Way to go. And how much longer do you have until you graduate?
I have about 1.5 to 2 years.
Awesome. How'd you get the full ride?
Well, I applied to the University of University of Texas at Tyler, and they have a fantastic nursing program.
So you got a
And,
full ride
that
for
was-
nursing.
Yes, sir.
Way to go. You're incredible. I wish Christina Ellis was here. She would be hooting and hollering for you right now, but you got me and Ken. So we're not as good at that. But here's what to do with that money. You mentioned a CD, a certificate of deposit, and I'm not a fan of CDs, and it's for a simple reason. You are locking up your money at a fixed interest rate. And so what I'd rather see you do with that money is put it into a online high-yield savings account, which is a variable interest rate, which means you can make more money over time versus getting stuck with whatever the CD is paying you. And if you need that money anytime, you can use it without any penalties or fees.
Okay.
And so I would avoid that. There's lots of options out there. We don't have any, partners or advertisers in the space, but I know Ally and Marcus are great options for you to look into for that online savings account. And you can get upwards of, 4% more just in that high yield savings account. And it'll stay completely liquid. You'll be able to transfer it to your checking account at any time in case you need it, which, as a college student, we just don't know what the next few years hold as far as what your expenses will be, if you'll have a car repair. And so I don't want that money locked up in a CD to where if you pull it out, you're going to have a penalty or fee.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the question and the call. Very sharp. I'm seeing a theme here, Ken, of really smart young people.
Yeah. This idea, by the way, where we generalize around generations, as if to say that there's only certain generations with, eagles in it and everybody else is a donkey. It's just silly. I mean, every generation's got their duds and their stars.
We tend to get the stars on this show. We appreciate that.
I think that's true.
All right, let's go to June over in Phoenix. June, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I have a question. I've been with my company for 15 years. I've been able to learn a ton of things. I love working there, great people. But there's been a company that's been reaching out to me, and we're getting pretty close to an offer right now. And I don't know how mentally to transfer outside of my company.
Meaning,
and is it worth it? Is it ever worth it to even, do I put a dollar amount on it, or is there ever a time not to leave a company?
Well, sure. But you're wrestling with really the same question. You're kind of asking it two different ways. So you never want to leave for just a paycheck, because a lot of people did that over the last 2.5 years, and now they call it the great regret, where people chased a bigger paycheck, and then it's not necessarily that they were lied to. In some cases they were, but other cases it just was sold one way.
It seemed like the grass was going to be greener.
Yeah, and they get there.
Right.
So you have to make a total decision. So pay is a part of it, but it really needs to be purpose. And what I mean by that is this a job that either puts you squarely where you want to be? It's the work that you're really good at, you really enjoy it, and it creates results that naturally motivate you. That's what I call the sweet spot, right? Now that is a dream job. A lot of people think the phrase dream job is like this fantastical unicorn. It's actually not. It feels like a dream. Because think about that. If you're spending most of your day using what you do best, doing something you love, and caring deeply about the result that you're creating, that feels really fantastic. And that is just a wonderful place to be. And so it feels like a dream. Now, you want to go to a company where you're doing work that you absolutely feel equipped to do, that you are going to enjoy doing, or at least it's putting you on the next rung of the ladder so that you can get to ultimately where you want to go. So it's either the right seat of the bus because it's ultimately where you want to be, or it's the seat you got to be in to get where you ultimately want to go. Then the pay's got to make sense. And then the third piece is the culture needs to be healthy, because you could actually get the first two right. It could be the right seat on the bus and the right pay, but it's a horrible bus to be on, and you're not going to want to stay on that bus very long. So those are the three elements. The actual purposeful work is the first and most important. Pay, and then culture. Does that make sense? And then if all three of those check the box, then you need to feel okay leaving. And the way you pose that question, I wonder if you've got a little bit of unnecessary guilt about the idea of even leaving.
Yes, there is that.
How long have you been there? Has it been
15 years.
Wow.
15
So
years.
this is very emotional. It's like a breakup.
It is. So June,
It is, yeah.
June, listen, I get this call all the time on the Ken Coleman Show. Ken, how do I deal with the guilt of leaving a company that's been good to me? It's very simple.
Yeah.
If you leave, June, for a much better opportunity for you, is that illegal? Yes or no?
No.
Is it unethical? Yes or no?
No.
All right. So actually, this idea of guilt is really you dealing with fear of what people will say about you if you leave them.
Okay.
Because when you start to manifest that, what are they going to say? How are they going to feel when I walk in and turn in my resignation, George?
Well, it feels like a betrayal to you as a person leaving.
Yeah. So you start to assume that they're all going to be mad at you and say evil things about you and whatever. And before you know it, you go, oh, that means that would be a bad thing to do if they say bad things about me. And so now I feel guilty. So it all starts with fear. So I ran you through those questions for you to realize that you're not doing anything wrong at all, and you cannot control how they act and what they say. You cannot control that.
That's correct. Okay.
And the other piece is just the discomfort of change. You've gotten real comfortable with where you've been for 15 years and the
That's
people.
The other thing.
Here's where the coffee maker is. Here's where the bathrooms are.
Yeah.
This is my favorite stall. These are the kinds of things you kind of get used to. And so there's going to be some change, which is uncomfortable.
Yep.
But it's also exciting.
It's
so
a
I
really
would lean
good
into
point.
the excitement of it.
And here's the thing, June. If you don't, let's say that this job that they're offering you checks out on all three of those boxes that I gave you just a moment ago.
I think it is. That's the scary part.
Well, okay. So George brings up a very good point about the comfort factor. But if you don't take this gig for the two reasons we just pointed out, it's change, which means it's uncomfortable.
Right.
Or it's the whole, I'm afraid what everybody's going to say about me. And so it's this guilt. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to end up resenting those people and you're going to end up being miserable. So you get to choose. Do you want to stay and resent and be miserable? Or do you want to move forward and step into that uncomfort? And on the other side of that, a better life. That's the choice.
Yeah, I don't want to live with that kind of regret. I'd rather leave with a little bit of discomfort instead.
Absolutely.
Well, we're cheering you on, June. Happy for you. This is The Ramsey Show. This is The Ramsey Show. Open phones at 888-825-5225. I'm George Camel, joined by Ken Coleman this hour. Sarah joins us up next in Illinois. Sarah, welcome to The Ramsey Show. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help today?
Okay, so I'm on baby step 2, and I'm trying to figure out with the student loans on hold, I'm trying to figure out if I should be setting up an income-based repayment plan just so that I can actually afford to live.
What is your income?
So I'm a teacher. I'm a single mom. I make about $43,000 a year.
Okay, and how much do you have in student loans?
Student loans, I have $113,000.
And do you have any other debt?
The only other debt that I have left is just a car payment, which I only have $6,000 left on that.
Awesome.
I've paid off about $12,000 so far.
Way to go. Proud of you. So how much longer to get this car loan out of your life?
Well, my goal is to have it gone by beginning of June.
That's a good goal. And are these student loans broken up into a bunch of little student loans?
I just have 2 loans left.
Okay, so there's 2 giant loans that make up the 113?
Yes.
Okay, and are they federal?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the minimum payment on those loans once they get unpaused?
$1,322.60.
Okay, and what is your take-home pay every month?
About $2,400.
Okay. So the majority of your paycheck is going towards these student loans, and you still got to pay rent and feed the kid and, keep the lights on.
Right.
I'm so sorry.
So my worry is that, like, I've been busting my butt.
Clearly.
Working extra jobs, any extra money. Sorry. Oh, my gosh.
It's okay. Take your time.
You're fine. You're incredible.
I just worry about those months that, like, I just lost my second job. I was waitressing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to find another one. And so my worry is with that big of a payment, I want to get this done. But what if I don't have that money that month? So would it be smart to do the lower cost and then just try to throw every little extra bit that I have at it, knowing that I can at least make that minimum, and then hopefully, make it my goal to make it that $1,300 every month?
I totally understand. And I know that it feels like you don't have options right now, but I will say that the income-based repayment plan is one of the worst options out there. And it's actually hurting people like you the most, and it makes me really angry. Because here's what those income-based repayment plans do. They cause you to stay in debt for the rest of your life, and the balance will grow because you're not even touching the principal.
Right.
And so it's not actually a solution, even though they pitch it as one.
Yeah.
So there is one solution that you can look into, which is student loan refinancing. And here is when it makes sense to do student loan refinancing. It's got to be free to make the change. So no application fees, no origination charges, and you've got to keep the fixed rate if you have one. Are these all fixed rate loans?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we want to make sure we stay with a fixed rate if we do the refinancing. And then we also want to make sure it doesn't extend the terms. So if you're on a 10-year, we don't want to make it a 15. That's how car dealers get you to have lower payments, is they keep you in debt longer. And then lastly, it's got to lower the interest rate for it to make sense, because that's going to lower your payment as well and help you actually attack this debt.
Okay.
And so you can look into that as an option to see if refinancing that would help get those payments lower. But at the end of the day, we've got to get your income up in order to tackle this debt. It's not going to go away. You can't bankrupt student loans. It's one of the worst types out there. And if you want to go watch Borrowed Future to get riled up about this, we go in depth on this issue as well.
So I want to dive in and let's see if we can come up with some income opportunities here, because part of the emotion that you're facing is you're just physically and mentally exhausted. And so what we want to try to do is give you the best opportunity to make the most amount of money. And I want to walk through that. So what are you making as a teacher?
$43,000.
Okay. And then you said you had 2 other jobs. You lost one waitressing job. What was the other one making for you?
I'm redoing furniture.
Okay.
I'm finding furniture on the side and I'm painting it and selling it.
How's that? And what kind of money are you making on a monthly basis with that?
So in the last month, I made $1,000.
Okay. And then how much money were you making waitressing?
Waitressing, I was making about $800 a month.
All right. Okay. And so here's my point. I want you right now, because you have to. You've got to say, wait a second. I've got a finite amount of time. And I'm so proud of you, and you're busting it. But I would rather you be finding a better alternative to the time you're spending on buying and then repainting furniture. That's time. And right now, we want to do 2 things with our time, okay? We want to make sure that we aren't wasting any of it just with trying to find some, every second that we're working, we have to be making money, not prospect or anything else. And so we want to maximize that too by having the best paying gig when we are doing the extra work. Okay. So that's your mindset, because what that will do is not only just bring in more money, but it's also going to give you a bump emotionally to go, oh, I'm actually making more with the time I'm spending. So I'm thinking maybe a better waitressing job, right, where you're actually making more in tips, maybe a better situation. That's just one idea. But I want you getting creative. And everybody that you know in your area, you're going, look, here's my situation. Single mama, I'm a school teacher, and I got this debt. I've got X amount of hours. I'm making this up for the mindset piece. I've got 20 hours extra. I got 20 hours. I need to be making $15, $20 an hour. I mean, let's put it out there. And let's go after that. Because all of a sudden, you're going to get a little bit more momentum and you start to make more progress. Because you can do this. I know you're tired, but you can do this. But you've got to be more efficient with your time so that you're making more money. Don't just take a job. Let's get the best paying job possible. Okay? So that you're making more money and then you're making more progress. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
And Sarah, I want to help equip you to make the most of every one of those dollars coming in. So we're going to gift you 1 year of Every Dollar Premium, as well as Financial Peace University. I want you to watch all the lessons, start doing that budget, because you will actually feel so much peace. I know it feels like there's not a lot left at the end of the month, but when you do this budget and you go, okay, here's my money coming in, here's every dollar going out, I've given it a job, it's going to go towards the debt, it's going to go towards the rent, whatever it is, you're going to feel such peace and in control of your situation. And it's going to show you, hey, if I had an extra $500 coming in, here's how that would change the numbers on this. So it's going to really encourage you. And I'm also going to make sure Austin gets you a link to our page that will make sure that you can refinance your student loans the right way. There's so many traps out there and terrible debt consolidation companies, and so we want to steer you in the right direction when it comes to this refinancing
And
stuff.
a real quick question here. I'm still brainstorming, Sarah. Are you elementary school teaching? What's your expertise? What subject matter? What kind of skill set experience do you have as a teacher?
I'm a music teacher.
Okay. I want you to research online teaching opportunities within music, okay? Because we're seeing things as low as $16 an hour to $28 an hour, and in some premium situations, you can make $50 to $75 an hour. That's a game changer, is it not?
Yeah, huge.
Well, let's start looking. Hey, don't you ever count out a single mama. And I'm telling you right now, you can find where there's a will, there's a way. I'm looking for some opportunities maybe where I'm not schlepping tables and you're at home. That's a whole lot better environment. So I want you looking for online tutoring and teaching situations within your expertise. Let's at least give it a shot.
Absolutely. Sarah, hang on the line. We're going to get you all of those resources. You are a hero. I want to encourage you and tell you that you are going to get through this, and I can't wait to celebrate your debt-free scream more than almost anyone else, because you are doing such a hard thing, but such a worthy thing to change your family tree and get out of this mess. Thank you for the call. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day comes from Romans 8:28. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. The great Fred Rogers once said, often out of periods of losing come the greatest strivings toward a new winning streak. That's good stuff.
You know, if I'd have known we were having a Mr. Rogers quote today, I would have wore a cardigan.
You do love a good cardigan.
I love a good cardigan.
In all their forms.
Missed opportunity.
It's all right. Well, hey, we are having a good time on the Spring Building Wealth Live Tour.
Oh, man, it's been fun.
It's already halfway over, Ken.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy.
You were in Indianapolis. I was in Austin. We've got, Salt Lake coming up?
And then Anaheim.
To
round it out.
Oh, wow.
So the first half of the tour, completely sold out, packed house. It's been amazing. Next up, like Ken mentioned, we've got Salt Lake City, then Anaheim, and we're coming your way. So if you want to join us, you can do that. April 24th, Salt Lake City, Dave Ramsey, Rachel Cruz, Christina Ellis, and myself. And then Anaheim with Dave Ramsey, Ken Coleman, Dr. John Deloney, and Christina Ellis on May 5th. They can't pair Ken and I together on these events. It's just too powerful.
Too much for the crowd. They don't know.
They can't handle it.
Yeah, it's just tough. tough.
It's like seeing a Beatles concert. They just lose their minds.
Right. Who do you yell for? You can't. It's
So that's why they split us
At least
up.
that's what it is in our head.
So if you want to join us, grab your ticket now before they're all gone. Tickets start at just $49. You can go to RamseySolutions.com/events today. And this weekend, Ken, you know what I'll be doing? Some light reading, because the Ramsey newsletter is dropping on Sunday, and we've got the 10 best apps that make you money. And that's speaking my language.
Yeah. I'm all about
I love
making
saving money. I love making money, and I love apps.
Did you make this list?
I'm not sure. I'll have to go check.
You're so busy you can't remember.
Well, I've done a lot of articles on our site about that. I'm not sure this particular one is from me or from our team.
I'll tell you my favorite all-time George Camel app hack, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, what do you got?
You told me how to go into Southwest Airlines app and rebook your flight and save money.
That's right.
And he did it one time at dinner. It blew my mind.
Saved you hundreds of bucks right there.
Hundreds of dollars.
Just like that.
That's why I follow George Camel.
I appreciate that, Ken. Well, you can follow me, and you can also check out that Ramsey newsletter. It's free to sign up, RamseySolutions.com/newsletter, and this is not going to be another thing in your inbox. We want to help you win with money, making more, saving more. Be sure to check that out. All right, let's get to the phones. Megan is waiting in Fort Worth. Megan, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for taking my call. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. How can we help?
Hey, so first I'm calling. I'm a little nervous.
You're doing great.
Thanks, guys. So my husband and I are just kind of starting our journey. Basically, the backstory is he finished residency a year ago. And for the first 3 years of our marriage when he was in residency, I just kind of dealt with the fact that we had a ton of student loan debt. And then I was listening to your show a couple weeks ago, and I heard Dr. Deloney talk about having the I can't breathe talk with your spouse. So that advice was so helpful because I wrote it out and I shared it with my husband. Like the student loan is killing my peace and I can't breathe. And since then, it's been a really good discussion between my husband and I, but he's more on the fence of we have a really low interest rate. He'd rather pay our loan off a little slower, but he is willing to work with me on the debt payoff if we want to be intense about it. We have 2 small kids. I left my job to stay home with them when we were in residency. I do work some side hustles on the side to bring in some extra income. But I have 2 questions. One is, could you just give me a pat on the back to affirm me that paying off our debt is actually the right call? And my second question is, do I need to be bringing in more money? Because I feel like of the 2 of us, I have the smaller shovel. I guess and because we're having our first budget meeting tonight to really hash out the numbers here, and I'm a little intimidated about sticking with my gut on this and just paying off the debt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but George is going to tell you how to play this out. But this is bigger than your gut. This is proven over decades and decades and decades of people following these baby steps. So I want you to set yourself free in trying to sell your husband on this, that this isn't a gut feeling. This is a proven fact, George. It's not disputable that the baby steps work.
Yeah, well, and he's there crunching the numbers. You know, he's a smart guy, and he's going, well, honey, it's low interest rate. I don't see the rush in paying this off. But what you see is not numbers. What you're feeling is the emotion, and he can't get there right now. And so I think this is a continued discussion, and math is part of it. If you show him on paper, hey, what if we got aggressive? What would it look like if we paid this off aggressively? This was our one focus for the next few years to get rid of this debt. How could that set us up for the future? And remind him, I stayed home to be with our kids. It's a sacrifice financially. It's a sacrifice in a whole bunch of ways. And the only way I'm going to feel good about this is if we don't have any debt and we have that peace and we have that margin and we have those options. And so doing a budget is a great step. I'm glad that he's actually willing to take a step into this. I think it needs to go a step further. Have you guys been through Financial Peace University together?
No, we haven't. No.
Okay, well, I'm going to give that to you.
That'll help.
I'll gift it to you so there's no financial burden on you guys any further than these student loans have caused. And here's what I'm asking, and you need to ask him. Will you watch all 9 lessons with me and have the discussions and actually be open-minded and take it seriously?
I would love that.
And if he's willing to do that, we're also going to gift you guys Every Dollar Premium, which is going to make your budget meeting tonight a whole lot better because this will connect to your bank.
Yeah.
You'll have the transactions. You'll have paycheck planning. And it's going to give you guys some real peace and control. And hopefully it also shows him all of the money leaks because you guys have probably been living pretty good, pretty comfortably up until this point.
Yeah, for the first year, we've just been settling into our new life. And then all of a sudden I woke up and was like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? We need to have a plan.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And you're going to get that piece.
Yeah.
So the pat on the back is there. You're doing the right thing, getting this debt out of your life. And I haven't had anyone call us back and go, hey, I paid off my student loans aggressively, and now my life is miserable and I have more stress than ever. Never taken that call. And so how much student loans do you have? I'm just curious.
176.
Okay. And what is the household income?
So this last year, we net a little over $200K. And I think we're both on track to earn a little bit more, both of us. So we're hoping to get around 220, 230.
So just crunching the numbers with him and showing him using the debt snowball method, you're going, all right, we're going to make 230. We have 176. How much of that can we allocate towards our debt? And once you go, all right, we could do out of the 230, we could throw 120 at the debt. What would that do? 10 grand a month at this debt means we're done with this thing in 18 months. Instead of 20 years.
Amazing.
Now I start to get excited, and you start to crunch the numbers and go, what could we do if we had that money freed up? How could we invest? How could we send our kids to college debt free? What vacations could we go on? And that starts to get you guys dreaming, because right now it's all about the present and survival. I want you to get a vision for the future. What does the next 5 years look like? 10 years look like? What does an early retirement look like? And so start talking and ask him. Say, what are your goals? What does the future look like for you? And that will get you guys actually excited about doing this plan. So it's not just, well, Megan got a hold of this Ramsey stuff and she just wants to get out of debt because Dave said. That's never going to work.
That's right. But I'm telling you, the fact that George is gifting you financial peace, if you can just get the hubs to go with you, I mean, and just let him sit among other people, other couples, and begin to see how this process works out. You don't have to sell him on anything. Hopefully he'll see the light.
Yeah. And generally by lesson 2, the switch turns and they go,
that's right. Yeah.
We got to do this.
Yep.
I'm on fire to do this now. And I'm cheering you on, Megan. I know it's tough. I know what you're feeling, and I'm glad that you're willing to have the conversation. That's the hardest part. The fact that you were willing to have that conversation and that he's willing to listen, willing to do the budget. I'm so proud of you guys. So hang on the line. Austin's going to pick up, and we're going to get you those resources, and you call us back if you need anything. Maybe he'll call. That would be fun, Ken. I don't think we've got a follow-up call from the husband.
I like that.
You know?
I like that a lot. I like that.
But the big shovel helps. And that's something that, Ken, you help people do every day. And while you have the pile of student loans,
yes,
it helps when you make 230 and you're actually willing to make use of it.
Yeah, and let me just give you some positive news, because you hear a lot of negative things. Folks, listen, now is one of the greatest times in our country's history to make side money, the gig economy, freelancing. I'm telling you, if you want to make more money, it is out there waiting on you. Go do it.
Love it. Hey, this puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. It has been our pleasure. I'm George Camel. He's Ken Coleman. On behalf of the entire team here at Ramsey and all of the folks in the booth, we appreciate you guys listening. Until next time, spend wisely, save intentionally, and give generously. Hey, it's George Camel. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.